Hello everyone, Josh here with X. Bring guys and gals some more King Arthur Legends Rise, and today we're going to be taking a look at Chivalry 10 Rosier. I'm very excited for this because I've been wanting to showcase her for a while. I finally got her pretty well built up. There's still a lot of room for improvement. There's still a few things I want to do with her kit, especially in terms of skilling her up. But we are going to be showcasing her today with her red relic because that is by far, in my opinion, her best relic to get the most bang for your buck. And we're going to go ahead and showcase all that in a few different game modes here today. Not all the game modes that she could be useful in, but just a few, just to give you a little taste, a little idea of what she can do. But before we do so, if you would be so kind to go check out our description as well as our pinned comment and look for the link to our support page. It really helps out the channel a lot in continuing to make King Arthur content, as well as provide you guys and gals with some free rewards monthly. So it's going to be a lot of fun for everyone involved. So if you'd like to do so, go ahead. But let's get into today's video. Alright, so we're going to be looking at Rose here. Roses are red and everything is dead. Look at all that blood on her clothes. She ain't playing around. She reminds me of like Ginger Snaps, right? Bloody Mary. The girl ain't playing. She ain't playing. She's a beast. She was designed to be an animal. And we're about to unleash her today in today's video. So she is Chivalry 10. Now, I want to specify, I want to kind of like, iterate on this a little bit and kind of just establish the standard that you need to have to run this hero at her potential, because I will definitely see a lot of people saying, oh, she can't do anything, she's not this, she's not that, or whatever, depending on where you're at with her in terms of development and investment. You need to get her to Chivalry 8, or you are losing so much value from her. And you need her red relic to utilize her ultimate, her skill 3, to do tons of damage. If you do not have her red relic and you do not have her at Chivalry 8, she is losing tons of value. So this is not going to be one of those heroes that you're just going to get right out of the gate and she's just going to be super powerful and super strong and do all these cool, amazing things that you may hear about from some people. It's not that you're being misinformed or that you're being lied to. It's just that you need to know the full context. You have to get her to Chivalry 8 and get her red relic, or she is losing tons of value. Now, the red relic aside for the high damage on her ult, why is the Chivalry 8 so important? Hook of Death enhances fresh crimson blood to Bloody Frenzy. What is Bloody Frenzy? When attacking, 100% chance to inflict bleed on a single enemy for 1 turn. If target has bleed, which you can also get this from Anguish if you have him as Chivalry 8 as well, increases duration of all dot effects. All dots. That means chill. That means bleeds. That means burns. Effect inflict on enemies by 1 turn. So you can keep extending these dots to allow them to stay on longer and longer, which means less and less dots fall off. And these dots are doing 3% of the max HP of the enemy. So for example, if you have 10 dots applied to an enemy, they're going to take 30% of their max HP and damage. Basically, a third of their HP bar is gone. That is a lot of damage they can get from dots. And if those are all on there for 2-3 turns, if they don't have a way to fall off or be forced to be removed or anything like that, after 2-3 turns, the enemy is dead. So this is very, very powerful. Now, there are a few units out there that can also extend dots outside of just Rose. But for Rose specifically, the way that she can spam bleeds, it becomes extremely powerful and very, very, very needed in her kit to make her hit her max potential. So you want to definitely get her to Chivalry 8 as best you can. And you'll see here, I got so unlucky on her freaking passive 2. I've even reset her a couple times using coins, and it still kept going into the skill 1, or sorry, the passive 1, and not the passive 2. So I'm still, I still got to get that level 3 on her passive 2 for the Hook of Death. So when using skill 3, she gains the Bloody Frenzy for 2 turns. That should be 3 turns, but I can't complain. She's still super powerful, but man, I'm losing a lot of value there still. So like I said earlier in the video, there's still room for improvement. I have her max awakened. She's level 60. So let's go here and look at her equipment now. Her equipment is not ideally where I want it to be, but it's pretty good so far. Stat-wise, we're looking at almost 3,700 attack, almost 1,900 defense, a little over 21,000 HP, 178 speed, which is fine. I could put her well over 200 speed. That's just too fast. I don't need her to be that quick. I need to get more damage out of her. 63% crit rate. Now, I need to specify something about her crit rate and her crit damage situation. Her crit damage, I might be able to squeeze up to like 90 to 100% potentially with some better gear, and maybe even get her crit rate up a little bit more, but there's no point, right? Even if I can get her crit rate up to like 65, 70%, that's not going to be much more of an improvement. And at 60%, at least if I can pair her up with somebody that has a crit rate of 1 in the future or something like that, she'll be able to hit that 100% crit rate off of that. Like a Green Merlin, for example, on his skill 2, if he does crit, I believe he gains a crit rate up bonus that he can give to your team. That might be something I can work into in the future. Or maybe even a Green Ain. I don't have her Green Relic, unfortunately, so I can't do that. That could also be another possibility to run with her to try and get that crit rate up to 100%. It's just very difficult in this game with gear because the crit rate percentages are kind of really low for a lot of these units. Not all of them. Some of the strong DPSs can go to like 30, 40% or something like that, I believe, at base when they're fully maxed out. At least 30%, I've seen a couple. So a lot easier to build your crit rate up from there. But Rose, unfortunately, is not one of those heroes, so you have to build her crit rate up the hard way. And you do want her to crit and have high crit damage. Because if your crit damage isn't high enough, there's no point putting a lot of crit rate on her, because then you're not really getting much of a bonus out of it. At that point, you're just better off going raw damage, which you could do that with Rose. If you guys and gals aren't fully invested in trying to get crit damage out of her, then just go the crit rate. Just go the attack route. Run an attack set, get you 30%, and put as much attack on her as you can. Get her up to like 4,000, 4,500. Just put as much attack as possible and still maintain some effect accuracy, because you still want to land those dots, because those dots are still going to provide you a lot of damage on top of the raw damage. She is not a one-trick pony. She's doing raw damage and dot damage. So you want to be able to have the combination of the two. So I tried my best with this gear to kind of get where I wanted to be. You also don't want her to be dirt slow. You don't want her to be a rock out there. You want her to be somewhat fast, but not too fast. So I have her at 178 speed right now. A little over 60% crit rate. So hopefully I'm still proccing some crit damage here and there. Hopefully. And my crit damage is at 80%. Now, what would help me a little bit here is if I could get a full focus set on my 3 bottom pieces of gear, which I do not have at this time, unfortunately, because that would give me an extra 10% crit rate and I think 20% crit damage permanently. So that would bring my crit damage up to 100% and my crit rate up to like 73 to potentially 75%, which is not too bad. I mean, that's, that's a pretty good chance of hitting a crit on average, 2-3 times, hopefully, every time she uses her ultimate, because her ultimate does do 5 attacks. So there is potential there. Again, more improvement on my gear would be great. Now, if I really wanted to, I could take the crit damage set off and put another crit rate set, but then again, that's going to hurt my crit damage a little bit. It's going to bring it down more, and I feel like I rather risk it to not crit all the time. But when I do, I hit way harder than the other way around, where I'm critting all the time, but I'm not hitting as hard. You really got to find that balance of your crit damage and crit rate. I mean, it's tough, guys. It's a lot of stats you got to try and put into one hero, and she is very stat hungry. But I wanted to kind of break all that down before we actually got into showing what she's doing, so you know the full context of the build and possible ideas and alternatives to this particular build, and even maybe some things that I'd like to do differently. So I might go and build her an attack set, go the raw damage route, not so much the crit damage route, and kind of see what I can get with that and how high I can really get her attack. And then we'll just kind of go from there, and we'll just see which build I like better, especially depending on what situation, because you can have 2 builds on them, so you might as well give it a shot and see what you can do and what you like better, depending on the situation. Now, her leader ability does give you attack speed 20%. That's going to be really good in Birdie Land and Arena. So we're good there. But let's go ahead and showcase her now. Oh, forgot the relics. My relic is 4-star Awaken, level 60. And I do not have her ultimate maxed out yet. So I'm losing 10% on the Hook of Death activating, which would be really, really nice to have that consistent. And the bleed rate would also be nice to go up to 80% for the last 2 hits. So again, there's going to be some room for error here, which hopefully we can address later on. Her skill 1, though, we're only 1 away from maxing that out, which is really, really nice. We're not really ever using her skill 2 at all, so any upgrades into that kind of suck, but we are at the mercy of RNG. So with all of that explanation out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the actual Burning Land Stage 10. Now, as you can see, my record is 43 seconds. And I strongly feel if I keep building up my Anguish a little bit better with his skill ups and stuff like that on his relic, getting him some better gear, upgrading his gear a little bit more, tweaking him a bit, and then continuously making improvements to my Rose, I could probably get this down to 30 seconds. I think I can get that done. We're running a 3-man team here, by the way. A 3-person team, rather. Sorry, Rose, no offense. We got the boy Blue Merlin, Blue English, also Shift 10, but his gear, guys and gals, wait till you see his gear. His gear is like half built. He's half built. Because I haven't had a reason to actually work on him anymore outside of what he's just sitting at right now. His relics, level 50. No awakening at all. No skill ups in his ultimate, which needs to be on his skill 3, nothing. This guy still has so much room for improvement, it's not even funny. But I don't even have to do that at this time. It's not a priority, so I just never really bothered to go back. But yeah, you can see there's still a lot of room, a lot of meat on the bones for Anguish. But let's go ahead and get into a fight here. We're going to do a repeat battle. I'm going to do ×1, just to kind of showcase what we can do here. Now, we're hoping that we can maybe get this in under a minute here on the video. You know, it's not always under a minute. Sometimes it's around a minute, a little bit higher. Sometimes it's really, really low, like that 40-some second one. It all depends. Sometimes it's on RNG when it comes to landing these dots. But look at that. Just the first set of dots I won off there, we almost took the bar down, you know, I'd say around 25%, give or take, somewhere around there. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now we're just going to start kind of firing off here. And again, we're running 3 units. We could run 4 and make this even more insane if we really wanted to. Maybe even speed it up a bit. But I just like this setup, and it's really cool to see 3 units out here dominating stage 10 when one of the units don't even have half their gear. So it's kind of insane to see, and I love it. I love every second of it. So we're seeing Rose out here, you know, putting on these dots, extending these dots. I mean, look at this. Let's click this real quick. You can see right here we have 1, 2, 3 bleeds, 2 chills. We're getting the dot damage taken 25% twice. I have seen as high as 14, 15 dots being applied at one time. That is my record that I've personally seen anyways. Rose died, but you know what? It doesn't even matter because she always gets the job done. We're already at the finish line. She did what she needed to do to finish this off. So there we go, and that will pretty much wrap this up. So that is Gorgos 10 dead. Went a little bit longer than a little longer than I'd like it to be. But again, it's RNG sometimes with landing these dots, because none of these dots are 100% outside of like passive. So it is what it is. Sometimes you're at the mercy of RNG, but it's consistent enough. I can show you here the battle stats. Let's see offense here. So Rose didn't quite hold up as much that time because she did die. Unfortunately, she got targeted a little bit more than usual. But she did do over 500,000 damage. Anguish did 882 because obviously he lasted longer and he got more of his chills off. And sadly, you don't always see the real damage that Rose is providing because any dots that Anguish applies that are being extended, which is basically damage that he's being gifted by Rose, is not being counted for Rose either. So you have to take that into account. We're going to do one more run here. See if we can get more of a cleaner run for Rose. I'll even throw in a 4th hero for you. I'll throw in my Gillian just because she's wearing another Vigor set. Maybe make it a little bit more consistent with rocking, you know, 2 skill 3s between Anguish and Rose. So maybe we'll do that and see what we can do here. Any more pushback that we can also get is also going to be only helping Rose that much more, because then that gives her more time to extend more dots. And we're only going to use Gillian's skill 1. We don't need skill 2 or anything like that. So that's the setup. Let's go ahead and do this again. So I really want you guys and gals to kind of see what Rose is providing with those dot extensions, throwing her own dots up there. Because we're not really showcasing her raw damage in this particular stage. We'll do that when we do another different stage, like maybe we'll do Trask 8 or something, where she's the only DPS on the team. No Bedivere. Because we already know what Bedivere can do. I mean, my goodness. And there is, you could also build Rose if you don't have Rose's red relic, but you do have her at Shiv 8 or better, you don't need to run her for damage, okay? Your Rose would be then built for purely just landing dots for bosses like Gorgos. Then you could just run her blue relic if you have that, or just her basic green relic, because you're just there just trying to get those dots off, those extensions off. So you could build her with like a lot of HP, defense, you know, anything that's going to allow her to kind of just have more sustainability and live longer. And you see right there, that fight ended extremely quickly. It ended 1 minute 5 seconds. Still not under 100 on the video, which I'm a little sad about. But we did 817,000 damage that time with Rose versus Anguish's 660. She got only 8 debuffs off, and he got 8 debuffs off, but she outdamaged him by quite a bit there because she's also providing some of that raw damage as well. Now, these stats don't always add up. Like, sometimes I don't feel like they're always correct. I feel like sometimes they're actually incorrect. But that might take some more time to actually investigate a little bit. But you get the idea. And like I said, my record of dots being landed was like 14 or 15. Like, it was a ton of bleeds, a ton of chills, because I got some good RNG on those runs. And she was doing tons of damage. You could probably even run her in that stage with some tweaking by herself without Anguish. You know, depending on what your setup is, and you maybe throw Isolde in there as well for some chills from her instead of Gillian, and then you could do some really crazy things with all the dots and maybe make that even faster. I don't know, some suggestions, some food for thought. Let's go into Tarask now. Now, Tarask is a pain in the ass for a lot of people out there, especially if you don't have Claudus all build up and utilizing her, and maybe even Tristan as well. Tristan with a red relic, Claudus with a red relic. You can go in there and do some cool things against Tarask for sure. I do not have either one of them built up because outside of here, I don't know if I'd use them for too many other places, at least at their current Shiv levels. So for me, Tarask is just kind of like, I just do it when I need to do it. It's not usually a priority. Probably should be more of a priority because I really need to start awakening my relics a little bit more, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and show her off in Tarask 8. So we're going to go ahead and take Bedivere out of here. This team that I just had up there can almost auto 9. If I can't auto it, I just don't want to do it. If I manualed it, I could probably do 9. But, I mean, this is a farm dungeon, and you really don't want to do farm dungeons on manual. So I really like to just be able to auto those. Okay, so here's the full red team with Rose. We are running our girl Gillian as the leader just for that additional HP for the whole team. Helps with the healing and all that, especially that, you know, I'm running red Merlin, which, you know, not everybody's going to have a red Merlin, obviously. But this is really just to showcase some of the damage potential that you can get out of Rose. Now, again, Rose is not always going to crit, because he's just a little over 60%, as we showed earlier in the video. But hopefully you guys get a good representation of some of the damage that she can potentially give you. Like, she did 24k there, and she did not crit all 5 hits. She did not. Because if she did, it'd be a lot better than that. Obviously, Morgan's in there on her red relic, not her blue one. If she was on her blue one, we'd be doing even more damage because we'd be putting up multiple of the damage taken dots. Or not dots, debuffs. So that'd be very helpful to basically any debuff. Or I'm sorry, any DPS you were running. But you're still seeing some pretty solid numbers there. Like, we did 32k there. That's not bad. That is not bad. Again, there's more room for improvement with her. This run is actually going a lot faster than my previous one. So we've already got him down pretty low. And we're not even... I don't believe we're even a minute in yet. I have to wait for that timer to pop back up in top left. Yeah, we're at 53 seconds. And I believe the time I did before was like 3 minutes. She's actually doing very well here in this run. Very well. Okay. So she only did like 14k there. She definitely missed a lot of her crits there, unfortunately. Now we're getting that bleed damage too. I mean, it's all good. Now, sucks though on if there's any bosses that do like 90% less dot damage and stuff like that. Obviously, the dots aren't going to be as impactful, but she still has that raw damage. So regardless, you have the raw damage, you have the dot damage, and sometimes you have both. So it's really nice to see, and you can see right there, she did 73% of the damage. Not bad. She landed 14 debuffs, surprisingly. So she was getting really good RNG with those debuffs. Those dots being landed, rather. So that is basically what Rose is doing in like a Tarask 8. I can almost probably do a Tarask 9 with that same team. I just need to tweak it a little bit better. And obviously, when we'll get there. So you don't even need Bedivere, okay, to do Tarask. How you like that? That means probably so much to a lot of you out there because I know you're probably tired of hearing about how great Bedivere is. Let's go ahead and do an arena fight now. Now, I have not been committing to arena as much as I'd like to. I've been very busy with a lot of other things. But arena is very important in this game. We might make a future video talking about how important arena is. But let's go ahead and do a fight here. Let's look at a team we can just go ahead and match up with. Let's go and fight this team. What is this team right here? We have a Shiv 6 Bedivere. And no Shiv Merlin. Shiv 3 Morgan. And then a Gillian. This is my PvP team. Now, we're running our girl Rose as the leader because of the attack speed up 20%. We're running Bedivere, Morgan, and Merlin. Now, what you could do is, instead of running a Bedivere, you could run an Anne if you have her. Pop her skill 2, do some additional damage that way. With me, I'm a Merlin that's with his red relic. I could pop the ultimate and have that additional damage because of the crit damage buff I believe I get. Merlin, obviously, Morgan with her blue relic is giving me that additional damage with her skill 2 because of the damage up increase with the debuff. So there's a lot of value there with this particular team I like to run. You don't have to run the same team. Some people might run Merlin with his blue relic just so you can, try and get the freezes off. A lot of people is probably just using Bedivere's ultimate just to, try and cleave, especially if you're running Anne. Again, Anne is very strong in PvP or anywhere you want to do a quick cleave. Ralph can kind of cleave as well, but Ralph, you're going to have to, like, if you really want to cleave really hard with Ralph, I like to be able to use his ultimate twice because it actually stacks. So that attack increase stacking twice would be pretty amazing. And it would also be good actually with Rose as well. I actually might have to try that. Ralph with Rose. Could be a lot of fun. Alright guys and gals, let's try to do arena again. I want to try and go in and do an arena fight. And the game crashed on me, but we're back at it again. Let's take on this level 50 team here. Woo, they have a, let's see, they got, oh, never mind. They got a Shiv 5 Morgan, Shiv 3 Merlin, Shiv 10K, and a no Shiv Gillian, whatever you want to call her. So let's go ahead and fight this team. Showcase Rose a little bit. I just hope Bedivere doesn't kind of show up a little bit too much in this particular fight, which he probably will. Let's go ahead and attack that K, actually. Okay, we got both the damage increase up debuffs on K, which is always nice. We're going to go ahead and do this. Boom, boom, boom. And then let's ult with our girl Rose. Got 27k there. And then she pops off the bonuses because of the Hook of Death on her ult. That was actually beautiful. Let's just go ahead and smack them with, the GOAT, Bedivere. We're just going to ignore that he didn't do that. You didn't see anything there from Bedivere. He did not exist. Let's talk about Rose, though. Rose did Supposedly 42,500 damage. Again, I don't think those stats are accurate in these little breakdowns, at least not all the time. But even if we go by these numbers, the fact that Rose used one skill and Bedivere used one skill, you know, including passives and all that other stuff, they technically both only took one turn. That's pretty solid damage from a rare hero versus the best DPS in the entirety of the game as a legendary, who's much easier to build for damage than she is. Because you have to get her to Shiv 8, you have to get her Red Relic, you have to really try your best to get the stats on her because she does not get all that free crit rate like Bedivere does. So that's pretty dang good when a rare hero is able to perform that well versus the best DPS, period. But I want to leave you guys with this thought. There is another DPS hero out there who is also a legendary who might be able to rival Bedivere. I've been doing a lot of thought processing, a lot of thinking, a lot of theory crafting, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to break down why I think there might be another hero out there that a lot of people are overlooking that might be able to potentially rival Bedivere, and that's going to be for another video. So if you guys want to see that, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, take notifications, join us in the Discord description below. As always, follow us on X at X's Media, and of course, if you want to help support the channel, you can do so in the description below, as well as the pinned comment. And I thank you all so much. Have an awesome day wherever you are. Until next time, peace.